Most people have not heard of Republican Senator Ron Johnson from the state of Wisconsin, but he made a media appearance this weekend where he said something that should make every American get to know who Ron Johnson from Wisconsin really is. Here is what Mr. Johnson said about people in the United States living with pre-existing conditions.
You know, I am reminded I remember President Bill Clinton talking about Obamacare as a crazy system. And he started talking about the people that are busting it, sometimes working 60 hours a week, and then they're left with premiums that have doubled and their coverage cut in half. Those are the forgotten men and women in this entire health care debate, but we know why those premiums doubled. We've done something with our health care system that you would never even think about doing, for example, with auto insurance, where you'd require auto insurance companies to sell a policy to somebody after they crash their car. States that have enacted guaranteed issue, which is the guarantee for pre-existing conditions, it crashes their markets. It causes to collapse. It causes premiums to skyrocket.
That's right, folks. According to Senator Johnson, if you have any kind of pre-existing condition, you're damaged goods. You deserve to pay more for health insurance, if you even get health insurance coverage at all, because, you know, you're damaged. You're like a bad car that's been in an accident. Somebody rear-ended you, and now you're screwed for the rest of your life through no fault of your own in most cases. Here's the thing, Mr. Johnson. I will not address you as senator because I do not respect you that much because you don't respect other people. But here's the thing. I could understand slightly people with pre-existing conditions having to pay more if it's for something, say, like a smoking-related illness. Somebody made the decision knowing the dangers, got an illness from smoking, now they have to pay a little more. Actually kind of makes sense, folks. It does. But to say that a woman who's pregnant or has ever been pregnant is now labeled as having a pre-existing condition for the rest of her life because her body did something that the body naturally does in women? How in the hell does that make sense for her to have to pay more for health insurance? You know, you're talking about kids with nut allergies that are considered having a pre-existing condition. They don't deserve to pay more. They've done nothing wrong. This isn't their fault, and that's what Republicans constantly want you to think. If somebody has a pre-existing condition, if they were born with a pre-existing condition, or if they simply live their life the way they're supposed to, or the way they want to, that it's somehow their fault. Well, it's not. But Ron Johnson, the rest of every single Republican in Washington, D.C., doesn't seem to understand that. Having a child is not a pre-existing condition. Having a nut allergy is not a pre-existing condition. Okay? That's just something these people did. That's something that their bodies did. They have no control over it for the most part, what happens inside of them. You guys need to understand this a little bit better. Johnson further goes on in that clip to explain that it's because of these people, you know, the pre-existing condition car accident type people out there, that we're all paying more for health insurance. That's why insurance companies have to raise their rates. And there is absolutely no truth to that statement whatsoever. You know how much money United Health made in a 3-month span from July, August, and September of 2016? You know how much money they made? They made in profit over $700 million. $700 million. And the same can be said for most other major U.S. health insurance companies. Every single one of them is turning a multi-billion-dollar profit every single year. If people with pre-existing conditions, like the Republicans tell us, were actually a drain on the system, you wouldn't be making billions of dollars in profit. And even if they are draining the system a little bit, you still seem to be doing pretty damn well, right? So what if you have to pay out an extra $10,000 for a few people when you're pulling in billions of dollars? It's all about greed, ladies and gentlemen. Insurance industry greed and Republican greed. People with pre-existing conditions are not the problem. They are not the people to blame. They didn't cause any problems with the U.S. healthcare industry. Republicans did, and the health insurance companies did. And that is the one thing that everybody needs to know as we continue these debates about health care in the United States. It's not sick people's fault. It's not healthy people's fault. It is Republicans' fault.